Hey yo, thanks for tuning in to The Source, your source for celebrity news. Check this out. Everybody from Tisa Tells to Nancy Grace has been telling Little Rodney Jones Jr.'s story ever since he dropped his SA lawsuit against P. Diddy, alleging that P. Diddy violated not only his manhood, but also his morals. During the course of a year, when he worked as P. Diddy's primary producer on his Love album, Off the Grid. However, even though Little Rodney Jones Jr., aka Little Rod's name, is being mentioned from everybody's mouth, nobody really knows who Little Rod Jr. really is. So today, we're going to take a closer look at Little Rodney Jones Jr.'s life to find out how in the world he went from being a church boy to becoming one of P. Diddy's alleged latest victims. Rodney Little Rod Jr., aka Little Rod, is a music producer and videographer from Chicago, Illinois. He was born in 1985 and comes from a long line of pastors, church elders, and gospel music influences. He started playing musical instruments at the age of 5. And when everybody realized that Little Rodney was basically a musical prodigy, he started playing drums at his local church. Aw shucks, Sister Claretha Mae Davis is over there getting it. I mean, for real, there's nothing like when a black woman catches the Holy Ghost in church and starts doing that Holy Spirit two-step. Oh, they be getting it, don't they? Now, shortly after mastering the drums, Little Rod picked up playing a guitar at the age of 13, and within a few years, he taught himself how to play over 13 instruments. Although Little Rod proved to be multi-talented, his life wasn't easy, and after enduring mad hardships at home, he ran away from his parents' house at the age of 14, determined to make it on his own. Check out what Little Rod had to say about his humble beginnings.
Lil Rod here. Get it, bro. Appreciate you coming to the platform and blessing us with this interview.
Absolutely, anytime, my bro.
So like, bro, we like to take it back. Lil Rod, like coming up. I know you from Chicago, right?
Absolutely.
So like, take us back, bro. Like I like to start in the beginning, like Chicago. Growing up in Chicago, say start like your teenage years. You know what I'm saying? Like or early high school or something. Was you like playing ball? Like, what was you into? Who was Lil Rod then? Was it music?
I started when I was 13 recording. So, you know what I'm saying? I grew up in the church. I was playing the drums for the church probably when I was like 5 years old. Went from there, started playing guitar, playing bass and piano. Pretty much anything with strings I played. And I never forget, I was 13 years old. My aunt took me into the studio and had me play bass on some things. And ever since then, it's just like rock it. By the age 18, I played on at least 32 albums. You know what I'm saying? So moving around, yeah, like I didn't even get a high school diploma, bro. I had to like drop out.
So like, what was that like?
I was on the road.
Like, okay, you Chicago, you in the church, you doing the music, you know what I'm saying? So you are in high school at the time. So like, we hear about Chicago. So what's it like navigating through that, like the gang life, things like that?
Yeah. So, like I say, I grew up in church. My whole family, everybody is missionaries, pastors, and all that shit, right? But I live in the hood, right? All my homies, you know what I'm saying? Everybody gangbanging, drug dealers and all that, right? And so I was a guy who was obviously going to the studios or on tour, shit like that. But I needed to because we also lived in poverty. You know what I'm saying? So it's like that's how I ate. You know what I mean? I got tired of, as a little kid, wearing the Pro Wings, and so I started buying my own shoes. You know what I mean? So I ran away when I was 14, and I've been on my own since then. You know what I mean?
Lil Rod also said that even though Chicago is very territorial and divided, he was able to politic and navigate across territories because of his involvement with music.
I grew up on the west side, but I worked a hell of a lot on the south side. And I hung over east, you know what I'm saying, with all my friends. So I was that guy. I was probably around danger, but just didn't notice it or wasn't scared, you know what I'm saying? So I would start bringing my friends from the south side to the west side, my friends from the west side to the south side, little stuff like that. And, and it started inside the music, you know what I mean? So it was like that even with the musicians. The musicians on the west side didn't rock with the ones on the south side. But you know what? The south side niggas is the ones who was getting them checks, you know what I mean? But west side niggas, they groove a little different. So I can say, I spent majority of my time on both of the sides, you know what I mean?
Gotcha. So like you saying you was being paid, so you was being paid from the beginning, or it took you a little while to start to get paid?
I started getting bread when I was like 13, 14.
Now, like I mentioned earlier, Lil Rod got his musical beginnings in the church. So because of his roots in the church, Little Rod says that he started out playing gospel music, jazz, and classical music, and he didn't venture into R&B and hip hop until around 2020.
So I ain't hit the R&B rap side until maybe 2021. You know what I'm saying? So majority of it was like gospel, jazz. You know what I mean? Classical shit like that. But when I got like 19, 20-ish around that's when I started touring with, I went out with like Avant, you know what I'm saying? Tyrese and shit goes on from there.
Okay, so I know, you're like Sauce. How did he go from like running away from home to all of a sudden now he's playing backup for different artists? Alright, so this is what happened. After running away from home, Little Rod began to play piano for a community choir in his neighborhood, and he also began to do a few gigs playing for different artists. And during this time, a music producer that he refers to as his Godfather noticed his talents, took him under his wing, and started to help him book gigs playing for various professional gospel artists.
Said that by age 18 you had been on how many albums?
32.
32. So like, how did you get them placements? Was it somebody in your life, was plugging you in, or was just something that just came across your table?
So somebody who I call my Godfather, he found me at some community choir like concert. I can't remember what it was, but long story short, he was a music producer. So at that rate, bam, he started putting me on. But you know how you go to concerts and certain people are opening up and all that. So I'm playing with a group that's opening up for an act, and then the actual act, they're there, they see you playing. You know what I'm saying? It's like, who is that guy? He's young. I'm probably the youngest guy on the stage, finessing a certain way. So bam, word of mouth, it kind of spreads. So I'm working way before there was a YouTube or, you know what I'm saying, any way to Google people. It was just word of mouth, which, in my opinion, that shit was the dopest shit. But you know what I mean? We grind a little different back in the day. Shit now it's so easy accessible. It's like, you know what I mean? Nobody works for it and nobody appreciate it. But I was just young, bro. I was young. I was putting in the work, bro. I was, finessing the bass guitar. That's kind of where I made my name from. I was finessing that shit as, a certain way that other people wasn't. And that word started spreading. So as, people just started calling. Everything that I got, majority of it came to me. So you ever watch the thing? You ever watch The View? So I did the theme song with Mary J. Blige. I didn't ask for that. You know what I'm saying? I didn't shoot for it. A lot of people working in the studio trying to submit records, bro. I haven't been working to submit a record on an artist, bro, probably in the last 4 or 5 years, bro. Everything that I've gotten has come directly to me, landed right to me. You know what I'm saying?
So like Little Rod just said, by the time that he was 21 years old, he had already played for or gone on tour with Donald Lawrence, Smokey Norfeld, Charles Jenkins, After Seven, Mary J. Blige, Mary, Tyrese, Music Soul Child, and many other notable artists. However, he also made it very clear that he thinks of himself as an independent freelance musician, and he's always been very mindful not to get into a long-term exclusive contractual situationship with any particular artist.
Like during that time frame, like was it an artist, like now you like 20 years old, 21, was it an artist that you worked with that made it, like when you started working with that person, you seen like, okay, you elevating a lot more than usual?
Well, it's hard to tell again, like, so you got some musicians who will like work with an artist and that's who they work with, right? For me, I've always been a freelancer. You know what I'm saying? I've never just worked with this one artist, you know what I'm saying? So at the time, God knows who else I was working with. You know what I mean? It might be this artist this week, the next one, that one this week, that one, or hell, they all might be in the same week, you know what I'm saying? So it's just hard to really say. All I know was I was working, I was lit, my bills was getting paid, you know what I'm saying? And nobody could tell me anything.
Dope. And let me see like some of your list of the people that you worked with, like Stevie Wonder. Was that around that time?
We did Stevie in 2015.
Okay, Music Soul Child, TPain, Mary J. Blige, Drake, King Los, Faith Evans,
oh yeah,
Miguel, R. Kelly.
So it's a song, absolutely.
So now you in your 20s, like, and you getting placements with what you like back then. What was it like, R. Kelly, or did that come later on?
So the placements started probably 2014-ish, probably. So again, majority of my career has been a musician. So I started producing probably 2011. So then I started getting placement. What's crazy is the first artist who I actually produced that made some noise out here was Music Soul Child, and he's actually the last single that I dropped in the fourth quarter last year as an artist. So I'm in my artistry. My artistry started probably about 1.5 to 2 years ago. But you know, I started working with Warren Campbell, and Music Soul Child was his artist at the time. And so that's kind of how all of the placement started coming. Warren Campbell, he's a legend music producer out here. He's married to the Mary group, and that's his group as well. And so I started working with him up on him at first, and then we started becoming partners. So that's kind of like around that time, 2015. Bam, the Stevie Wonder comes laying in my lap, and etc. You know what I'm saying? So that's pretty much how those placements started coming.
Now, after Little Rod hooked up with Warren Campbell and also produced a track for Stevie Wonder, he started moving more and more into the direction of hip-hop and R&B production when he linked up with TPain and produced a few songs for him, including TPain's hit song Surgical.
So like, how was it working with TPain? Like, was like a lot of these records, was they like done in the studio, or you had to send the stuff in, or was you actually working with the actual people?
So I just started working with TPain probably a little bit over 2 weeks, maybe 3 weeks ago. So I was sitting here and I'm supposed to be finishing up some records for myself. I got some rappers I signed in Chicago. Some of them sitting down in the Goo now. And I was supposed to be mixing their stuff, getting ready to have it released. And then I get a phone call from a homie of mine who's actually up in the studio. He's the engineer for TPain, and he's like, "Yo, T said, can you pull up?" Now, normally on a situation like this, you know, I would say no, because you know I'm at the point where I'm putting my work and what I got going on first, right? But Jazzy Faye is one of my homies, and he had already been trying to get me in with TPain like last year, you know what I'm saying? But they're in Atlanta, and so I just couldn't miss this opportunity, bro. You know what I mean? So what was crazy is we first got in the studio, and I started setting up. So I come in with a couple of guitars and basses and keys and all that stuff, and you know they cracking jokes like, "Yo, man, he just wrote a whole band," you know what I'm saying? So many jokes, right? I mean, you know what I mean? And I'm just like, in my head, I'm just like, all right, cool, just wait till we set up, you know what I'm saying? But it is funny. Some niggas would have folded right then and there, bro. You know what I'm saying? And then we halfway clashed a little bit because I should have asked him what's his process of working, because you know he's a music producer as well. You know what I'm saying? And so I didn't ask. What happened was he was making a beat, and then you know I sync my system with his with the click, and bam, I start building on top of him. So he's like, all right, you want to go or you want me to go? So at this rate, we trying to figure it out. So I put my headphones on and I start making some parts to the song, and turns out I thought I muted myself. It was still playing, so it was just weird. So at that point, it took us about maybe 2 or 3 hours to warm up to each other. And you know, I was like, man, you know, I should have asked what's your process, etc. So at that rate, we got to talking, and then it was on uphill, bro. We did 2 weeks at record plant in Los Angeles. We cut a lot of records, you know what I mean? But even getting him warm to, you know, my producing. My production ideas, he had to warm up to it. But then it got to the point where, you know, you gain that artist trust. They see what you got in the room. Then at that rate, you know what I'm saying, we start moving a little different. And he's a cool guy, man. One of the most genuine guys I ever met. I think that's a dope part about him. You know what I'm saying? And also funny. Who was that? Somebody, you ready to say something?
Go ahead.
Okay. Yeah. So just like any artist, you know what I mean, you got to warm up. You know, when you're dealing with an artist of that caliber too, you also there's always a space of wondering, is this guy coming in, is he a groupie, or is he going to be someone who's going to ask to take a picture with me, or he's going to steal or ask to borrow money. You know what I'm saying? Those type of things that when you first deal with an artist, you got to kind of get past that. And so once we got past that, he realized, oh, this guy ain't here trying to take a picture. He ain't fanning out. He ain't this. You know what I mean? He's just a cool, genuine person. And then that's that. So, you know, we working. And there's a lot more getting ready to happen. I'm supposed to go back to Atlanta to work on some more stuff. But we probably got about 15 records in those 2 weeks.
Wow, that's dope.
Now, during this time when Little Rod's fame is on the rise, we do know that on at least one occasion he does return back to the church along with rapper David East to minister to a young man who's interested in pursuing music.
Stay listening to what you're doing right here, all the new school. Go and listen to some of the stuff that your mom like listening to. Listen to some old school stuff. Because eventually this stuff is derived from some old school anyway. You know, do your homework on your craft. If you care about your craft, you're going to do some homework on it. Alright, do some homework on it. Keep an open mind. Have an open mind about that, man. Alright? And everything you learn, make sure you try to pass it on to somebody that's following you, because it's definitely got some followers. If you got 140 views on this so far, so somebody watching. You got 150 subscribers too. Okay, yeah. So.
And you just started a year ago.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Rod, let me ask you this. Just, for him to go where he ultimately probably hasn't even dreamed of going, what's the most important basic thing that he needs to grasp hold of that is going to be foundational regardless of how high he goes? If he don't get that right, it's going to always affect him to getting to the height that he wants to go to. So whether that's learning your scales or whatever, I mean, what would you say?
Simplicity is the most basic thing you can learn, man. Simple things, man. Small things. Like, you know, knowing the stuff that you're working with. You gotta know your instruments, know all of that, know your gear that you're working on. So when anytime somebody come and asks you a question, you don't want to be looking around. You want to always know your homework, do your homework, know your information, know your craft. All right.
What you say, Rob?
Pretty much tap into it. Do your homework. That's the main thing. And work quiet too. You know what I'm saying? You gotta let everybody know you're doing this and all that, because it's levels to this. On each level, you got some people who's gonna try to sit on you, so you need to do this work. Quiet, get as much as you can. 2 or 3 years from now, all that'll turn around. You know what I'm saying? You ain't even touched the surface yet. Again, it's very important to know your craft. You listen to the songs, find out who did it. You know what I'm saying? What's behind it? There's a story behind each song that you make. You know what I'm saying? And so, like, we shouldn't ask you about your show. Like, you should be able to tell us. You know, the story is really important. A lot of people just really know the story. What's your story? You grew up from the west side of Chicago, right? You know, how it this, you know what I mean? It's a story, so you want to be able to tell your story when you get there. And through the loops, that's cool, man. You like her? You ever heard of her?
Yeah.
Her first EP was all done on FM. You know Camper? DJ Camper?
Yeah.
Yeah. You did. I saw it all that. You did all that. And there's a story behind that, because I was a music director at a church. And I used to wonder why they dude coming in late all the time. And he was doctor's check me a couple times. Like, what are you doing? And he's over there working on Hers record, and he just got a Grammy. That's a story. You know what I'm saying? I never knew, you know what? He was working quiet. You know what I'm saying? He working quiet doing this whole thing. And it's like, it's a surprise to me when I'm gone now to hear that this guy's a music producer and got records up under him. You know what I'm saying? But you humble, just stay humble too. You know what I mean?
That's all I was going to say.
Yeah, just stay humble.
Last question. That's the last question I was going to ask on his behalf, because I really want you to absorb this thing I know about both of these guys, regardless of how they gone, who they played with, going all over the world. He's the same, the way they are right now, is the same way they were 20, 30 years ago. Same humble spirits, not arrogant. So in this music world, arrogance is something that it's out of control. For some people, it's how they kind of get on.
Right, it's a difference. You can be confident,
right.
But you don't want to confuse that confidence with arrogance. So I like your whole demeanor, man. You willing to sit here and listen, man. A lot of young cats be like, man, I ain't got time to listen, all that stuff. And you got a nice spirit about yourself, man. Stay around, so make sure your mom keep you grounded, man. Always out, right?
14.
Listen to everything she's telling you to, man. Make sure you love and honor your mom, honor your parents, man. That's in the Bible. Find a church you know to sit up under, man. That's why a lot of these hire artists. That's where they get their musicians from, right from the church.
Yep.
Get in the church, man. That'll build your repertoire right there, man. Where you learn it, not just outside where you learning the new school stuff. But you gonna get that ground information. That you gonna get that ear. All right. You already got the talent. You got somebody teaching you. But you also want to develop your ear, where it is that you know what you hear and you know what it is that you're looking for. Start creating your own ideas.
Listen, I just love seeing 3 black men standing there taking the time to mentor a younger black man. I mean, we need more of that. Alright, so after working with TPain, Lil Rod went on to work with Drake.
And you gotta tell us, bro, like how did you get tapped in with Drake and Drake sampled that song of yours?
So this is a guy named David Sebastian. I was producing him. I started working with David probably, 2016. Young guy would always come up to my studio. He was homeless at the time, and but I felt like he was very, very talented. So I worked with him. Long story short, he ended up popping off. He's got a couple of singles that hit made some noise. He made it to Forbes magazine, and he got a deal with Warner Brother. And so I was working with him last year, and so his manager, what is his manager's name? His manager's name is Matt Babel. So Matt was in the studio a couple of times doing the recording process. And so when you're in the studio with me, I ain't an average I'm not a beat maker, you know what I'm saying? So I ain't the average producer. So it's a little different. So people see the creative process and they love it. And so Matt was sitting there, he's like, hey bro, you got something that can, we can put in this song here? For sure. So I sent them my song, The Real Me. They liked it. We closed on the deal in 24 hours, and bam, the song comes out just like that.
Oh, that's what's up. That's what's up.
Alright, so when talking about whether or not he prefers working with younger artists versus older artists, Lil Rod says that he prefers working with younger artists because they're more open-minded and pliable. Because when you're working with these older artists who think they're all about it, sometimes he has to check them.
So I see you work with younger artists to older artists. Do you feel like it's easier or harder to make tracks for a younger artist versus the older artist when it comes to like giving them that hit, that sound?
Well, of course, the older artists. As adults, we tend to get stuck in our ways. We get tired of learning, and sometimes we bring that into the studio. We also bring in I'm older than you mentality, etc. So many things as adults. When you grown, it's hard to try to teach a grown person something. They don't want to learn. You know what I mean? I still, as a music producer, find a way to get inside their head and get what I want. Versus a young person. I just have them come in like, hey, just trust the process. Let's go. You know what I'm saying? And so, and then sometimes, with them older ones, or celebrities, you know what I'm saying? Whatever who's worked. Sometimes I ain't got no patience with them. You know what I'm saying? And sometimes you gotta hand it. I handed it to 2 people in the last week. You know what I mean? And I really felt like I was doing them a favor by getting them some real, because sometimes you can get so comfortable with what you're doing and so successful that you got a bunch of yes people around your team or on your team, and it's because of that you can't really break through the cracks like you once did or are trying to do.
So let me ask you, so I know you said you like, pretty much freelance, do your own thing. So have anybody came at you and wanted you exclusive to work with them only?
Absolutely.
And how did you handle that?
That shit happens all the time. I got people who try to buy my publishing. You know what I'm saying? And mainly like legend producers who understand the value of my work. They try to buy my publishing. You know what I mean? Or they try to sign me directly to them, and I just tell them. I kindly tell them, you don't have enough money. You know what I'm saying? Because I know my worth. You know what I'm saying? I know my net worth. You could bring me $1 million. That's not enough. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. I see myself to be like on the level of what Ye is now. You know what I mean? Once I get there, I'm not there yet, but I definitely feel like I have all the potentials to be there or even better. So with that being said, we building up a brand here and not necessarily building somebody else's, so nobody could get me to come and just work exclusively with them. That's impossible.
So it appears that prior to going to work for Diddy on the Love album for like an entire year, Lil Rod was worried about some producer coming along and trying to steal his publishing, something like this.
Go ahead, because I run shit here, nigga. You feel me? I run shit.
Yeah, you do.
Yeah.
Little Rod ain't worth giving his kingdom to if we don't control his publishing. I can solve his efforts with 3 other human beings. He's eating at our table, and I like his backstory, but you need to have other people. It's hard to work with him unless we have his pub. He's a piece of shit human, but we do not need his talent unless we can work with him.
Yeah.
Now, around the same time that Little Rod did this interview with Death of the Clout Chase, he also started collaborating with Stevie J, aka Sleezo, and the two of them formed a musical partnership to produce a few songs. Source, can you please throw up the post that Stevie J and Little Rod put out, which said, "The legend and the new producers team up recreating the juicy sound with leading single Cash." Little Rod also started hanging out with Stevie J and Faith Evans outside of the music studio. And I know, you're like, Source, how in the world do you know that? I know that because I have footage of all 3 of them playing bumper carts in the mobility scooters in Target. Little Rod also hosted an IG Live with Stevie J before posting another picture of both of them in the studio with a caption that said, "The Good Guys." Now, I don't know what changed after Little Rod did his interview. Maybe P. Diddy made him an offer he couldn't refuse. Or maybe the fact that he was friends with Stevie J actually influenced his decision. But in September of 2022, Little Rod did agree to work exclusively with P. Diddy. And in doing so, he practically lived with P. Diddy for an entire year at Diddy's various residences, including his homes in Los Angeles, New York City, and Miami, Florida, as well as on Diddy's rented yacht. Now, we know for a fact that Little Rod was on Diddy's yacht in December of 2022 because we've got pictures of Little Rod producing beats in Diddy's studio with the red light. We have pictures of Little Rod working out with P. Diddy in the gym while they're both watching TD Jakes on TV. We have pictures of him hanging out with Diddy in French Montana on a boat deck, and we also know that he was there on Christmas Eve 2022 because Diddy had him dressed up like a Christmas elf while he was playing the piano, and Diddy ran around the ship acting like he was Black Santa.
Woo! Ever since Black Santa been in charge, everything's been going smooth. I just delivered everybody's gifts. When you wake up in the morning, you'll be absolutely happy. And we just got back to headquarters. We got some DeLeon tequila. Everybody take a shot. I am so sorry to tell you that Santa is black. And I'm gonna still make sure you keep your job. But you have to know that Santa's black now, okay, baby? Santa, you want some DeLeon tequila? Oh, okay. Oh. A little milk and cookies. This is a swimming pool. You like the swimming pool? Usually on Christmas Eve, we listen to Brian McKnight. To me, it's one of the best black, super black, real Negro Christmas albums ever made. So usually I deliver the gifts and I come in here, get a little massage, listen to some Anita Baker, you know, have Mrs. Claus come in here and dance on some heels. I don't live in the North Pole. I live in the Caribbean. We live in a world where everybody ain't getting it. But that don't mean that I should stop you from showing you how to get it. This is Frank. This is my #1 King Elk. He only drinks DeLeon tequila, the smoothest tequila in the world, owned by a black man. We still have some gifts that have to be delivered. Yeah, this is a boat. This is really a yacht. When I started coming out the St. Barts, I was renting like the 120s. You know what I'm saying? Then I was leasing the 190s. Then I was buying the 250s. So we on the 325. We scoping it out. New headquarters. Yo, we got the Kermit the Green This is the Kermit the Green Suede in the elevator. The headquarters is 5 floors. You know, the Deleon's starting to kick in. When the Deleon kick in, Mrs. Claus! Mrs. Claus, Daddy is home! Oh, we have a theater on the yacht. And I would like to give congratulations to the Queen, Carisha, Young Miami. Oh, this is a dream come true for me. Turn this up. Let me see if these niggas flirting with each other. Is there any flirtations that's going on? You trying to talk my shorty? Wow. Nah, nigga. Nah. No. I see it, nigga.
Cause I have been to one of your shows.
Yeah. Why would you have one of that nigga's shows? Yeah. Why you smiling like that? Tonight is about family. Santa is a black ass man and a black ass woman that works hard. Don't they? Work hard to get those gifts, those sneakers, those shoes. So to all the parents out there, we wish you happy holidays, happy Kwanzaa. Just peace. May you have peace tomorrow. May you have peace tonight. May you feel proud of yourself that you bought your kids that gift and it hurt the pockets. May they be appreciative and they understand that no matter what, if you don't have a gift, you know what you got. You got the greatest gift of all. You got God.
Alright, so between September of 2022 and November of 2023, Lil Rod produced 9 songs on Diddy's The Love album, Off the Grid, which debuted at number 19 on the Billboard 200 and earned 30,000 album equivalent units in its first week. Shortly after the project was complete, Lil Rod released a video on social media sharing the fact that all that glitters may not be gold when it comes to working with P. Diddy.
Let's just jump right into it. Some of you may know me or may not. I'm a music producer who's a writer and musician. Different genres. I started in the gospel and jazz and R&B and worked my way over to the hip hop side. I've been working on an album. I took a year off straight working on this album. That album is the Love album, Off the Grid by Diddy. And it's Grammy nominated right now as we speak. I should be celebrating, but the truth is I'm not. Taking this album on has required so much time, months and at a time, 16 hours to 24 hours a day. Sometimes, Diddy will request certain works to be done and tell us don't go to sleep until it's done. And the truth is we'll be up for days trying to accomplish that. I've tried to get my business straight with them on this album, but the truth is they're not playing fair. They hit me on below the belt on so many situations, just dealing with this. It's the contract that they give me and the offer that they gave me was just disgusting. The producer fee, pennies, and on top of that, these guys are trying to steal my publishing. I can't go for that, so I'm fighting back. He's a fighter, but I'm gonna put in this fight. I gotta do it for myself, my rights, and most importantly, my kids.
In this initial video, Little Rodney Jr. simply stated that P. Diddy owed him money for the work that he had done and he wanted his money. Around this same time, other media outlets began to share that Little Rod Jr. had told P. Diddy that he was willing to take $50,000 as a lump sum payment for all the work that he had done on the Love album for all 9 songs. However, P. Diddy didn't even want to pay him that. I mean, come on, P. Diddy, how stingy can you be? That's less than $5,500 per song. Anyhow, after Little Rod allegedly didn't receive adequate compensation for his year's worth of work, on February 26, 2024, Little Rod filed a bombshell lawsuit against P. Diddy, which alleged that P. Diddy essayed him and also committed a whole bunch of other heinous crimes that, when you add them all up, could potentially round up to a RICO.
Today, we are going to be going through the entire lawsuit that was recently filed by Lil Rod against Diddy. Let's get into it. So getting started, and I apologize ahead of time if I butcher the names of anything in this video. But the plaintiff is listed as Rodney Jones, also known as Lil Rod, and the defendants are listed as Sean Combs, also known as Diddy, Justin Dior Combs, Ethiopia Habtemariam, Lucian Charles Grange, Christina Karam, Chalice Recording Studios, Love Records, Motown Records, Universal Music Group, Combs Global Enterprises, John and Jane Doe's 1 through 10, and ABC Corporation's 1 through 10. Moving on to the summary of events. From September 2022 to November of 2023, Mr. Jones produced 9 songs on Mr. Combs' Love album. Mr. Jones lived with Mr. Combs for a month at a time, spending holidays, birthdays, and missing major family events. Mr. Jones resided at Mr. Combs' residence located in Los Angeles, California, New York City, and Miami, Florida. Mr. Jones also spent several weeks on a yacht rented by Mr. Combs in the U.S. Virgin Islands. Throughout his time with Mr. Combs, Mr. Jones witnessed, experienced, and endured many things that went far beyond his role as a producer on the Love album. The claims raised in this complaint have been corroborated through witness statements, video and audio recordings, and images that Mr. Jones has in his possession. Mr. Combs required Mr. Jones to record him constantly. On several occasions, Mr. Combs took Mr. Jones's cell phone and began recording himself. As a result, Mr. Jones has secured hundreds of hours of footage and audio recordings of Mr. Combs, his staff, and his guests engaging in serious illegal activity. Mr. Jones has secured irrefutable evidence of A, the acquisition, use, and distribution of ecstasy, cocaine, GHB, ketamine, marijuana, and mushrooms. B, the displaying and distribution of unregistered illegal firearms. C, Mr. Combs providing laced alcoholic beverages to minors and sex workers at his homes in California, New York, the U.S. Virgin Islands, and Florida. D, Mr. Combs' chief of staff, Christina Karam, also known as KK, instructing her staff to retrieve drugs so she can provide it to Mr. Combs for his consumption. E, Christian Combs drugging and sexually assaulting a woman. F, Mr. Combs detailing how he planned to leverage his relationship with Bishop T.D. Jakes to soften the impact on his public image of Cassie Ventura's lawsuit. G, Young Miami's cousin and/or assistant sexually assaulting Mr. Jones. H, actor Cuba Gooding Jr. sexually harassing and assaulting Mr. Jones. I, rapper whose name has been redacted on Mr. Combs' yacht consorting with underage girls, sex workers. And J, R&B singer whose name has been redacted in Mr. Combs' Los Angeles home consorting with underage girls and sex workers. Then they move on to talk about the Chalice Recording Studio shooting. On or about September 12, 2022, Mr. Combs held a writers and producers camp at Chalice Recording Studio at 845 Highland Avenue, Los Angeles, California. Present at this camp were Mr. Combs, his son Justin Combs, and Justin's friend named G. Mr. G is a 30-year-old tall African-American male. In addition to these individuals, other musicians were present at the camp. This writer has spoken to several musicians who attended the camp. One evening during this camp, Mr. Combs, J. Combs, and G were in a heated conversation. That conversation was moved out of the studio and into a restroom adjacent to where Mr. Jones was sitting. Mr. Jones was approximately 2 feet away from the bathroom when gunshots rang out. Mr. Jones recalls hearing multiple gunshots. And then they made a couple notes at the bottom of this page, and if you look at notes number 3 and 4, when it comes to the rapper whose name is redacted, they say he is a Philadelphia rapper who dated Nicki Minaj. And then if you look at number 4, when it comes to the R&B singer whose name was redacted, it says he is a Grammy Award-winning R&B singer who had trouble with law enforcement after assaulting a Bajan billionaire.
Listen, let me keep it 100 with y'all. When I started doing this research into Lil Rod, I wasn't sure whether his lawsuit was as credible as Cassie's, especially since like the picture of Stevie J may or may not be Stevie J, and there were a couple of other things in the lawsuit that I thought were a little sloppy, and I was like, this right here might be a little sus. But I gotta be honest with you, after looking into Lil Rod's history, he seems like a pretty good dude. I mean, yeah, he's not perfect. But, there's no major red flags that I was able to find. I mean, I found a few yellow flags, but no major red flags. And the only person who I found who had anything negative to say about him was Diddy's man, who said this.
He's a piece of human, but we do not need his talent unless we can work with him.
Oh my goodness. Anyhow, hopefully knowing a little bit more about Little Rodney Jones Jr. helps you to understand this case a little better, and also helps you to understand who he is as an artist and as a man. Listen, let me know what you think about this whole Rodney Jones Jr. versus Diddy lawsuit, and also let me know, does knowing a little bit more about who Rodney Jones Jr. is make him more credible or less credible as far as you're concerned? Let me know in the comments. And while you're down there leaving a comment, be sure to like and subscribe to the channel and share this video with your friends. Hey yo, thanks for tuning in to Celeb Source, your source for celebrity news. Be sure to like and subscribe to the channel. Peace.